Hey, we're Melanie Mau
and Martin Schnella of Flaming Row, and you're listening to Sonic Perspectives.
Now, it was about a year and a half ago that I messaged Martin Schnella, and he is a wonderful guitarist and singer and songwriter. And with his partner in life and musically, the great vocalist Melanie Mau, in recent years they've produced some really beautiful acoustic music, including some wonderful covers of bands that you've heard of. Now, I asked Martin at the time if he'd be doing any prog anytime soon. He'd been in several progressive bands and had shown remarkable talents in that area. No. That was all he said, was pretty much no. And now here we are 18 months later, and Martin and Melanie are the core members of a band called Flaming Row. Their new album is called The Pure Shine, and it is a prog concept album. So I guess things change. I'm Mark Boardman of Sonic Perspectives, and we're talking with Melanie Mau and Martin Schnella about Flaming Row, a concept album based on Stephen King, their acoustic work, and much more. And Martin and Melanie, welcome to Sonic Perspectives.
Thank you so much.
So I should ask, why is it Row and not Row?
It's a long time ago when the former member of Flaming Row, Kiri, got the idea for the name, and she said in German it's called Der mordsmäßige Krach. So the same as in English, I think it's the row, but it is no row. It shall be music that has melodies and lots of proggy things, but we thought, well, maybe it sounds good. And the decision was there, and we were entitled Flaming Row. But most people thought it's Flaming Row, because a row of flames in one row, and they thought maybe what could be meant with it. But it's the Row, and it was just a decision, and the name is there. No special deep meaning.
Just there. Tell me a little bit about the background of the band, other than the name. If I am correct in it, at least the concept of it started about 11, 12 years ago?
Yes. It was 2009 when we started recording the first album, Eleanor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was, yeah.
How did that come together? How did the band come together?
So at first it was my idea of thinking about putting progressive music together. So I was in several metal bands in these times, and I had the idea putting together songs, some of my ideas that wouldn't fit into the other bands, and creating a concept album with a story and different musicians, different singers, in a way that Arjen of Arian does.
I was going to say, yes, that really sounds like Arian.
Yes, it sounds like Arian, and the same idea. And of course, I can't deny that Arian is a big idol in this kind of music, and so he was. His music was the first
experience.
Yes, the first experience for me in these things, and. Then I decided it and got my dear friend Niklas Karl on drums, playing my ideas on the drums in the recording studio, and then everything else just happened, asking people, and then I just went on Facebook looking for other musicians, and then I found Gary Werkamp and Brent Allman of Shadow Gallery. I think you might know them.
Yes.
Yes, and just thought about I could write them a message asking them if they're interested in playing a guitar solo on the album. And they just answered a few minutes later, and then the thing was born, asking more musicians. And yes, now about 10 years later, we are here still producing this music with such an amazing list of musicians. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. The 2009, or actually, the album came out, Eleanor, in 2011,
Yes.
and Mirage, A Portrayal of Figures, came out in 2014. So over the 11 years and the now 3 albums, how has the vision evolved?
Lots of experiences were there during the last years making the albums, and so the first 2 albums are more self-written stories, and this time we decided to take a story of a movie and some books by Stephen King, because we thought it was a good idea, and I think it's more, it grew a little bit more. So all our music experience that we have also made during our acoustic stuff we did, and going in the folk and Celtic side of music, this has grown a bit more, and everything is more focused on some more important things. It's hard to describe how it has evolved. Yeah.
For me, it is so that I think it's hard to write a good story. Yes.
Yes.
And it needs a lot of time, and we're on tour and writing music, doing new covers, have a family, our teacher jobs. And so I said to Martin, there are a lot of amazing stories in the world. So let's try to find the story to this music. And so it happened. I think this is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
good. So
A
for
good
you?
conclusion, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Melanie, at what point did you come on board? Was it around 2014 with Mirage? Was that when you first joined up?
I think it was a little bit later. I don't know the year. About curious.
I think 2016,
Okay.
2016, 17, and this time we decided
Yes.
to do this
Yes.
together now. Yeah.
Martin asked me because Kiri said she wants to do her own stuff and not working in a band project, and he asked me if I want to do some lyric work and help him to do this. And yes, I say okay. And then we start thinking about a good story to be inspired about good stuff, and yeah, books, films, and yes, so we start this new album.
Yes. Okay. It was a decision because most of the music was written at that
Yes.
point.
It was.
And
Uh-huh.
yes.
How did
And-
you happen to decide to use the Stephen King, that particular line of story that he'd come up with?
We thought about what could fit into this new stuff, because it has lots of Celtic moments and the softer moments inside, and the music is, so when the music is instrumental, so you also have the instrumental version of it. It could be film score maybe in
Yes.
some points, because music also works without the singing parts, not all the parts of the music, but some of them. And then we watched the movie The Dark Tower, and then remembered, oh, there were books we have written during our childhood somewhere, and so we came up to the decision to put the story of this movie and the books
Yes.
into this album, which wasn't easy, but I think we found a way.
Yes.
Had you both read all of the King books of the Dark Tower?
No, The Dark Tower, the first book, was the last Stephen King book I read.
Really?
And I was about 19 years old, and then it was for me. I read a lot of Stephen King books when I was young, and that was, I don't know why, but it was the last one. And then we saw the film, and before all that, Martin showed me his music. There's more music for the next CD.
Mm-hmm.
And all these together will be a trilogy.
Trilogy.
Trilogy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I had the idea there must be something that will be, together.
Yes, that put all the parts of the trilogy together.
Yes.
That there's a conclusion from the beginning, getting into the next story, that it fits together.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and how it ends. So we will not tell you how it ends, but if you hear them the next CD in a few years, then you understand why we saw the film and said, yeah, this is a good story for this CD and this music. Yes.
That's the idea. I hope we could explain it.
Yeah.
Yes. Martin, you did the music. On the credits, it says both of you did the lyrics. Was it a collaborative effort in that regard?
Yes, so the music was mainly written by myself with some help by the keyboard player Marek Arnold, who did the main part in the intro section of the album. He's also a good friend and very deeply involved in the project, and sometimes he's got some ideas he's sending to me, and I decide to put them into some of the songs. And Melanie and myself, we were sitting here with our notes, watching the movie, reading some facts about the story and everything, and putting together the lyrics together.
Mm-hmm.
So some lines Melanie was sitting there and writing in German, and then we decided to translate them into English language together with a friend of us, a native speaker, making some corrections that we do as well as we can.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask, since we've had a slight break already where you were looking for the right word in English, is it difficult composing something like that in a language that is not your native language?
Yes. Very, very difficult, because you will do it very, very correct, and you're very, very. Ich weiß nicht mal das deutsche Wort. I must think about it. You must try to use the speech as good as you can, and so it's easier for the first work to do it in German and write a storybook, and then we do the lyrics in English. So we work a storybook about the whole story. Will you begin and where will you end? Then we do it.
When you're putting it together, do you use direct quotes from, say, Stephen King to make it easier and to keep it more true and authentic to what he was saying?
Yes, some of them are direct quotes. Yes, some of them, not all, but a few conversations and the dialogues. Some of them are direct quotes, or some of the key sentences, like "He's the man in black, fled across the desert."
Right.
These are key sentences of the movie and the books, and we decided to take them, of course, because it makes sense. But we also wrote a lot of explanations and the storytelling kind. We wrote by ourselves, and it's not easy, because we all had English at school, and we all worked at jobs where we needed to speak English, but it's not easy to find the correct sentences and words in that way people say in England or in America, that way that they understand what we are meaning, because so many words have different meanings, and so many words in these connection together have different meanings, and some people
Yes.
say, "Oh, I know what you mean," but we do not say it like you've written it. I think these things will always
Yes.
happen again. Also, if you have a native speaker checking them and he says, "Okay, no, you have to change a word. That's not the correct word you have to
Yes.
use," and we do our best, and we hope that people can work with it.
Sure,
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
And you have to fit it to the music too, since you already have the music written. There has to be a way to somehow fit them together.
Yes, I think the best way would be if you can write the music together with the story, or you have created the story and then you start writing the music. But this would mean we have to throw away all the music and writing new stuff which has already been there, and all the guys like the Brentons and Jimmy Keegan and guys who had already played their instruments and recorded them. This would be nonsense now, and it's such beautiful moments all these guys have recorded, and I was so happy with the music results we already have in an instrumental, so that we decided to make it as good as possible to fit the lyrics into the music. I know that many people in the progressive world are working like this. They write music, and after that they are thinking about what are we telling. I think Dream Theater are working that way, and I don't know how Neil's working. I think Neil's working both in parallel. He's got some ideas and melodies, singing them, and he's a very, very good writer in lyrics, so that his skills are amazing, finding great lyrics in his Christian way, putting them to the music and putting all things together. That's pretty cool, yes.
When you're putting the music together, do you hear in your head, this would be a great place for Dave Meros to be the bassist, or Jimmy Keegan to be the drummer, or for your Gary Werekamp to throw in some vocals, or this is a wonderful section and only Melanie can sing this?
For the music, you...
Yeah, okay. So for the music, I think, so for the next 10 years, guys like Jimmy and Dave Meros became real friends. So we just having lots of contact in different ways, and sometimes I hear that typical sound of Dave's bass in some of his songs. And these two songs he's playing on the album, I've written them in the year 2012, I think, the basic ideas. And then I sent these two tracks, my basic ideas with some guide guitars and some guide keyboards maybe, which are already there, to Jimmy, who's playing the drums. And then I sent these new tracks to Dave, who was playing some bass on it. And then it has got that typical rhythm section I really like in Spock's Beard and stuff, of those beautiful musicians playing together. And then everything else was coming, guitars, more keyboards, Celtic instruments, maybe some strings and stuff. And then it became something really different from it. It sounded in the beginning, and that's the thing, it's really cool. So you do not know what comes out there in the end, even if you know the sound of these musicians. It's always something totally different. And Dave was saying when he first heard the mixes, oh, that was me playing. Oh yeah, I remember, but it sounded totally different. I really like it. So I was happy he was liking it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the vocal lines, it was so... I create them in the studio and their ideas in my head, and yes. So we recorded everything with Martin's voice and my voice. And then we're thinking about which singer will be for this part. When we're in the studio and creating it, I'm thinking about, yes, this is a part for Siobhan or for Glyn Morgan or so on. We will ask them if they want to do this job, if they are possible to do this in the timeline, and yes, so we start this.
Yes, so you're working on it, and
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this section you
yes.
have to sing it, Melanie. It's your part. It's your.
Yes.
You sound great in this, and or if it's a little lower pitched, you hear.
But the characters of the Dark Tower, we know Johann Hallgren must be the gunslinger. It was so clear for us. Yes, he must do this.
Yes.
Yeah. Please have time and do this. It's amazing, and so
he can do all those aggressive, powerful stuff, and also the softer parts. So he's an all-rounder, and he's perfect for the gunslinger, the role of the story.
Yeah. So we hear all the guys.
On a couple of places, including in the intro piece, A Tower in the Clouds, you have a cappella vocals going in counterpoint, sometimes with 2 or 3. I thought on one point it sounded like 4 voices that were sort of going at the same time.
Yes.
Almost like Gentle Giant has done it.
Yeah.
That was intentional. Something struck you in that sound that made sense for that.
Yes. It made sense because this section was one of the last sections we decided to do because everything was complete, all the songs, all the vocals. And in this intro section, I think I wasn't really happy with the end results of the intro section. And Melanie was saying, hey, you could do some kind of vocal fugato part you did at the first album, on Eleanor. And it's based on a typical fugue that Gentle Giant were doing in the On Reflection song. And it's a classical fugue like Johann Sebastian Bach was writing in these earlier times for classical and Baroque music, but with vocals who sang it. And then I was sitting there with that main theme line of that He's the Man in Black thing and trying to modulate the melody line to with my knowledge about how to write a fugue, to put 4 different lines together, getting these counterpoint part like Gentle Giant were doing. So I'm a big fan of it, and
yes, so we love those parts.
Yes,
that really stands out, or at least it did to me in listening to it. It's going to sound terrible. A lot of people can do prog in terms of a concept album, etc., but to be able to throw in a couple of vocal sections like that and explore that area is pretty rare. You don't hear people do that very much.
Yes, I think it was just Spockspear doing it, Kevin Gilbert doing it on this Shaming of the Truth, I think.
Yes.
The first one, that Dance of the AOR, man. Really cool. And I don't know if different other bands are doing this typical style of vocal counterpoint, maybe in a different way. Like Spockspear are doing with gibberish. It's also those counterpoint parts, or Author of Confusion in Neil Moore's song. But it's not a typical fugue. It's just different lines crossing each other, but it makes sense because the harmonies are working, but everything is a little bit confusing, and that's really cool. It's really difficult to write and difficult to perform because you cannot sing with much emotion. You have to sing all those lines and hitting the notes in the correct time line, and everything's really different to perform and to sing. I think Gary and Leo Margaret for Pain of Salvation, the drummer, was singing the second line coming in, and he was sending me a message saying, "Are you kidding me? It's great, but I can never sing this." But he did.
Yes, we did. And it's so much fun to perform something like this, because you do not every day, and try to do this live. Maybe we will see what's happening.
Well, I was going to ask that, as a matter of fact, because the difficulty in a project like this, or when Arian does it, Arian can do a show once every 4 or 5 years, it seems like, and that's about all he can afford to do. How do you do something with this live?
So uh, that way we cannot do it live with a big band and all these musicians, because we do not have such a great string ensemble, and I think we cannot ask Eric and Nathan to come over to Germany to do this. I think the coasts would explode in all kinds, and nobody here in Germany, we do not have such a big crowd coming to a smaller progressive band like us. So I think we have great fans and lots of people all over the world giving us a cool feedback to the music, but here in Germany we don't know which stage would work for such a big project and how to financiate that all. But I think Ian needed about 25 years performing this thing live. We will see what happens in 25 years maybe. But we decided to break down some of the songs and playing these in our acoustic.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because some of them would work perfectly within that milieu.
Yes.
Of course. And so we can do this stuff because we're the minds of it, and so there are so many amazing lines, melodies, and it will be so sad to do this not live. And so I'm talking to Martin and saying, hey, let's try to do this in an acoustic way, and looking for how will it work. Will the crowd say yes, it's okay? And so we will see what happened in the next few months.
Have you done any of them live just to see what it works, how it works?
Yes,
twice. We did an edited version of The Sorcerer live at our Christmas concert last year, so just 3 weeks ago, with 5 people. We got the bass player Lars Lehmann, our percussion player Simon, and one of the singers, Matthias Ruck, who's doing his parts, and we played not the whole 17 minutes, I think it was about 9 minutes. Yes. We did an edit for one of the concerts we did, and we played that song and worked really well in an acoustic version.
Did it? Good.
Yes, Marek was there too, playing some saxophone parts in it. No keyboard, because we did not have the time to practice it a lot. We just met for one practice, for one rehearsal, and playing the song about 3 times together. But Lars and Simon, Matthias, is such great musicians, and we really felt comfortable with it, and was practicing a lot, putting it all together. So always very, very nervous playing these songs and making it as good as possible, but it worked really well. And about 5 days ago in Berlin, we played the same, just the 2 of us, just in a 2-person version, and it also works. People were saying, knowing the song, hey, we never thought that the Sorcerer would work in such a reduced version. And we see, okay, we could adapt some of the songs, some of the sections of the longer songs in an acoustic way. I think not everything, but maybe the half of the album we could do in an acoustic way. We'll see what happens in the future.
One of the things that impresses me in the music is Marek Arnold's contribution, not just in keyboards, but I think his saxophone work adds a different aspect to things. It adds, at times, almost a Middle Eastern sound to some things, and gives it a greater depth.
Yes, Marek is great. He's such a unique kind of playing, especially in the saxophone parts. I think you will hear him out of 1,000 people just if he's playing a few notes, and he's such a great friend and a cool guy, and we do not meet many times, but sometimes a year we have the time to work together or to talk or to play a concert together when he's playing with one of his bands, and then we have lots of fun, and it's important. He's an important part in the music, of course, because his unique keyboard style. Okay, because of all these special instruments we have, his part is a bit more focused on pianos, organ parts, and not such gigantic string things he was playing, because everything of this kind were played by Nathan and Eric Branton, who did also the arrangement for their strings by themselves.
Could I ask a couple of questions about the acoustic Melanie and Martin?
Of course.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of us, I guess, have really come to appreciate your work by some of the YouTube things that you have put up of the two of you, sometimes in just a very intimate situation, or intimate performance area. And among the things that you've done, you've put up Kayla by Flying Colors, Land of Confusion by Genesis, Wasted Years by Iron Maiden. Now that was an interesting choice. I like that. The Pinnacle by Kansas, I See Fine by Ed Sheeran. That's an entirely different side of you guys.
Yeah.
Yes. We hear different music, and we love music. There are no special things we're saying only hearing progressive music, only hearing metal music. So if there's a good song, and there are songs they are so impressive for us, then we try to do these songs. Yes.
So I think all of the songs, especially the covers we are doing, are songs that have a special meaning to us. Yes. Also Wasted Years, and also I See Fire. All of these songs we like them very much. Some of them are songs we know from our childhood, and we say, oh, this song is the thing with Miracles Out of Nowhere. Yes. By Kansas. Was one of my first touches to progressive rock, when I was sitting in a room of a friend of mine who was saying, I just have to fix some things, just take a listen to this album. And it was Left Overture by Kansas, and I was listening to that song, and what is that? I've never heard it. It was 15 years old, and then it was there, and then I got into Dream Theater, and got into Gentle Giants, Box Spirit, into all the metal stuff. First there was Metallica, Judas Priest, all those bands, and then the progressive side came, and all those important songs are always there. And I thought about, let's do a Kansas song, but not Dust in the Wind.
No.
Son. Let's do this song. And Melanie said, oh, I know this. And I said, what, you know? Knowing this song? Nobody knows this song.
I say I'm an old girl, so I know this song. Yes. I love this. No.
Yes, and I think it's the same to most of the other cover songs we're doing, that we like them very much, and it's all very special. The Flying Colors stuff came later, of course. Yes. And Melanie fell in love with Casey's voice and sang Kayla's great song. The first we did was The Storm, yes. But also the more commercial stuff like Land of Confusion. We always had this scary music video in mind. Mm-hmm. And even if people say that's not the best time Genesis had, because it's the more poppy commercial side, everyone likes it when we're playing it live, because it's got a great way of composition. It's not just a simple song, it's also a very great lyrics. It's yes. More up to date than ever, these lyrics, I think, and everything is working really cool. But also the more poppy songs we like Ed Sheeran's I See Fire was a song Melanie wished to play. I think it was the very first song we did, even before Miracles Out of Nowhere. And yes. So we do not decide we have to do something proggy only. So because we're listening while we're driving to one of our concerts, maybe we have some CDs in the car, listening to them, and that, hey, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Got that song totally. I
Yes.
think we could work on this. And it's important to make something different out of the song. And
Sure.
having a song by Iron Maiden or Kansas and reducing it to guitar, maybe bass and percussion and 2 vocals, maybe 3 vocals, is really challenging and really, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I
Mel-
I heard about Ed Sheeran, that he's writing a song for a book that inspired me and impressed me when I was a child, and I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking it will be a good song, and I'm hearing "I See Fire," and I'm feeling like I was reading the book now, and it was. I think it is the best song he will write his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I love The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I think I read it about 14 times or so. So it was the very, very first song I asked Martin, because nobody wants to play this song with me. I played music, and this time with my brother, and we fell in love and do some studio projects. And then I asked Martin, "Won't you play this song for me? I want to sing it." And so everything started.
Yeah.
I think, yes.
And he said yes.
Yes, he said yes. And then
You're-
Miracles Out of Nowhere was the second song.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
And
When you're in the Flaming Rouse situation, you both are part of an ensemble, if you will. You're part of a larger group, and your parts have to fit into those things so that you don't have it all fall apart. But when it's basically the duo and the acoustic, even if you have a bass player and a percussionist, Melanie stands out more. She's out front. Her singing comes out more. Does that allow you, Melanie, to better express your personality and your feelings in that situation?
Better, I don't know. It's easier, I will say. I don't practice this Flaming Row thing live, so I don't have the feeling for it. We do our acoustic stuff the years, and it's fantastic for me to do this with Martin, because we have understanding without speaking. Yes, we're feeling the same, we're thinking the same about a song, and so it's like coming home to to share the stage with him, to work with him. It's the best experience in my life I had ever with music, I think. Yes. So
And personally, she means and personally, Martin.
I think you know this.
I know what you mean.
Yes, but it's not easy for me to answer you in this way. I think you can better explain.
Yes, I think so. The more reduced music, there's more space
Yes.
for vocals.
Yes.
In general, in acoustic music with just guitar and a bit, a vocalist can express more and be more in the front, because there's not such a big loud band. Even if it's in a CD production where you can turn all the levels of the instruments, but you've got that wall of sound and a bigger rocking sound, and the vocal is always a part of it. But if you got the acoustic version, the vocal is out more, and often Melanie says, "Yes, I can play more with my dynamics in the acoustic music."
But I think it's about not only that it's acoustic music, it's about that it's the own way we do this.
Yeah.
It's not a cover
Yeah.
in a normal way. So you're talking about Wasted Years. We're thinking about there will be the lyrics, and so we put it in a very different way than Bruce Dickinson did it. So this is the space, but I think it's the same with Flaming Row, because this is music, it's your original. You write this music, and there is every space you want to have in studio and live. And if you cover, you have this song, and it's a great song, and you're very, very excited to do this, because when someone like Casey heard about a song like Kayla, you're thinking, oh my God, I hope he is thinking about you do a good job, and not, oh my God. Yes, and this is the difference for me, not so this way,
Okay,
I think,
yeah.
yes.
Well, you never know it before the original artist is thinking about our cover version, but sometimes we receive feedback from those bands, also from Blind Guardian, In Flames, those metal people.
But we're never thinking about this. We're thinking we love this music and we want to do this song. And Martin said, let's do a video. I want to do a video for YouTube. But I never, ever thinking about that they could see this. We're here in Germany, they're in America. Never, ever. Oh my God.
It was strange, yeah.
And then he sent me a message and said, oh my God, can this put it on their homepage? And I said, oh no, oh my God. So yeah, the things happened. We are never thinking about all this. That you come and saying, I want to talk to you about what you're thinking about an album, about your acoustic stuff. We're never thinking about playing in America, in Poland, and we're thinking we do these things from our hearts that we love for ourselves. And we do this if nobody wants to hear us, because we love this. But that what then happens was, overwhelming.
Yes.
I think is the best word for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, you mentioned that there are certain Celtic sounds that you blend in at various points. And Melanie's voice is particularly suited to that, from what I hear at least. She comes up on certain notes and does sort of a little lilt thing that really represents Celtic. Melanie, is that part of what you normally do, or are you taking into account I'm doing this in a Celtic fashion?
It's about how you feel a song, and I love these Celtic music. And I think Jens Komnik and his wife Siobhan were inspiring us in this way.
Yes.
You had a workshop.
Yes, it's
with Jens.
7 years ago.
7 years,
nearly, yeah. Got that workshop because Jens Komnik, the guy who is doing all the uilleann pipes, whistles and stuff on the album, also on our acoustic albums, is a good friend, and he's one of the best musicians we have in Germany here, and he's entitled twice as the best Celtic instrumentalist in Great Britain, twice as a German musician. And he's really great. He's playing everything you give him into his hands. He's playing it perfectly. All those, also harp and bass guitar, singing. He's a very great guitar player. It's the instrument he's can play best, and he studied it too. And he's an idol to me, playing this kind of fingerstyle guitar. And I had this workshop about 7 years ago, and then I was playing on a special tuning. I play most on the acoustic guitar, the Dutch-gut tuning, they called it. And it's a typical tuning all those Celtic musicians play on guitar. And it has, you just play all the empty strings, and you've got that sound. And I try to practice and putting some lines on the guitar, and that was my main influence during this workshop. We were talking about the guitar playing style and the most important things in Celtic music. And then I grabbed it all, and it was my main influence and everything which was coming. And Melanie's voice is perfect for these sounds, and she really likes all those music, and she really likes Siobhan's singing style. And so automatically the style of my guitar playing is always a bit Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
I can play with my voice and try to do these, what you say, a little bit, I don't know the correct word in English, I'm sorry.
Triplets.
But, yes.
The sounds,
these are, take your shiner so
Yes.
brightly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's a lot of fun to play with all these things and do not the normal things, and every time to try searching for new ideas about singing, about performing. That's a lot of fun for me. Yes, I love this.
And what people say is that we are no Celtic musicians in real, but we put these elements into a more popular kind of music, and in a rocky acoustic way with progressive elements, because of something's happening in there that does not happen in a usual Celtic or pop song. And we're putting all these things together and created maybe an own style of it with all these influences we have. And many people are saying this, oh, it's cool. It sounds like acoustic prog with Celtic influences and some rock, some pop. Everything is in there somehow with only two people. And that's a very great compliment if people are saying this, because if you I will not say we have created something new. We didn't, but maybe something own that's a bit unique for us, and that you hear not very, very often, even if acoustic music is more popular than ever, because people like that natural sound of cover songs in a reduced way, but in a totally different way. Maybe people really like it, or otherwise people may hate it, because the die-hard Iron Maiden fans maybe say, oh, what did they do? And of course, you have some YouTube comments where people are saying, you destroyed the whole song. But I think these were just a few comments there, but it's okay if people think like this, yes. Because we just decided to do something with a song that's very popular in metal music, making something different out of it, so we have to...
there's no need to do it for everybody.
No, you cannot do it for everybody.
I think there's...
No, that's impossible.
Yes.
And if you try to do it for everybody, you'll do it for nobody.
Yes.
You have to do what are your strengths and what's in your heart.
Yes. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. Someone will always be there saying, that's crap.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
Different people, different meanings, no problem. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've already heard some time ago that apparently there are going to be 2 more parts to this trilogy coming up. And I know it's really, really soon because you've just released The Pure Shine, but have you already started looking ahead to when the second one comes out?
No idea yet. So this year we're going to put the focus on some writing for new own material for our acoustic project. Mm-hmm. We're having some other plans in our mind who do not want to say at this point because it's not complete yet, but we have some plans. And of course we have plans for the next Flaming Row CD, some thoughts about a story and the lyrics, and also some of the basic music is already composed for it, but we cannot say if it takes 3, 4, or 5 years. I don't know, and we do not want to say, oh, that was a mistake we did maybe a few years ago, and we're saying, oh, the next album is coming in 2016. Yes, it's next year. We have enough time, and then we have so many gigs to play, and the tour that show at Prog-Stock in America, and it all takes time. It needs time to practice, and that acoustic part, and then these acoustic stuff became a big part in our music. So we played about 90 concerts last year.
Really, that many? Wow.
About 90, and so you do not have as much time to write and compose and record. So you have to decide, now this year the focus is on this. Next year the focus is on a new cover CD maybe. The year after there's a new focus on writing a new Flaming album, and that's the plan. So we all have our teaching jobs to earn our money and to pay our rent and stuff, and we have our I have my recording studio, working with other artists to earn my money, to pay all the stuff we have to pay, and we have to do the concerts to earn money and everything. And with producing CDs, you spend money. You spend a lot of money. Even if you have a lot of people ordering, and that's very great, but you have to spend a lot before selling them. And so we have to decide what we're doing, and there's always one thing we want to put the focus on. And when we completed this, we put the focus on another thing. But working on 3 different things, maybe it works, but otherwise it doesn't work. So I don't know how Roy Stolt is doing it, or Mike Portnoy. They do nothing else, I think, than making music with great musicians, and they've got the time. But we have some other things to do in our life, the family and all the stuff. So the focus is always on one thing we want to complete before doing the other one. And we do not know how long it takes. We will see.
Yes.
Well, we will look forward to each step as it comes in its own place, step by step. And in the meantime, we will be enjoying Flaming Row's album, The Pure Shine. We thank you for being with us.
We hope so. Thank you.
Absolutely. Melanie Mau and Martin Schnella, the core members of Flaming Row. And again, their latest album is The Pure Shine. I'm Mark Boardman, and for the latest in music news, reviews, and interviews, go to our website at sonicperspectives.com. And as we go out, listen to the full, expanded, and the electric version of The Sorcerer.
Jake and Roland are roaming through the bleakest forest, passing relics of bygone times, the evil forces of the dark side have sent out their henchmen to catch. To catch the boy with that pure. After dusk, the companions are sitting at the fire. With a stick, Jake is painting one of his visions on the ground. Without knowing its meaning, Roland says it's a map his father showed him long time ago. He's the man in black who fled across the desert to the secret place of no return. Anguish cries, they can testify. A circle inside all around.
Where are you?
Dad, where are you?
Hello, mate.
Dad?
Long time. It's good to see you. You've grown.
That isn't real. You're dead.
Not here in this world.
I missed you so much.
I missed you too, Jake. Come on, it's okay. Let's go home.
Is it really happening?
Darkness and fire! Darkness and fire! He's the man in black who fled across the desert to the secret place of no return. Anguished cries, they can testify. See the man in black fled across the desert to catch the boy with that pure shine. When Jake is touching his hand, the red hell opens up. At the last second, he is saved by Roland.
After each attack on the tower, there is a small crack, and the evil creatures of the dark try to come over.
It wasn't Jane's dad, only distracting illusion. The fake skin's building machine that is able to convert the pure shine into a beam that could bring that tower down. But something's got out. The evil demon hid down at Roland. He enters in Melanie and dies by his hand. Stranger approaching. Gather round. Stranger approaching. Gather round.
Long days and pleasant nights.
May you have twice that number.
Haven't seen one of your kind since I was a young man. Seeing you here alive, one of that old line, is incredible.
Who's your strongest seer? That would be me. I'm all around. The boy here has visions of this place. I need to That's why you come to find the man in black, and he fled to the northern wastelands. In a world you do not know, someone can hear you pray, where the truth is left untold. I need to go there, come hell or high water. It's a long time of travel. Or you can get me there faster than that. I know the sorcerer keeps track of all portal travel, but there's a way to fool him.
we'd never use the portal unless the village was in danger. And even if this need